What's up, guys? So it's been a really busy last couple of weeks as we've been trying to finish this giant project we've been working on. You know, one of the biggest challenges is time, right? So how do you have enough time and resources to make sure that you meet these deadlines that we give customers, or maybe you have a project that you were trying to do at home? How do you keep it to where it's not intimidating and you can manage it, and to know what things you should do yourself and what things you should just hire out, because the amount of time that's wasted just ends up costing everything at the end. So I wanted to take some time today, give you a tour of this project, which is a giant hotel lobby, gift shop, 4 bathrooms, office. This is the main check-in hub for a brand new hotel location located in Wisconsin. We've worked with this company before. We've designed other tiny houses for them. They do some of the coolest projects that I've ever seen, from all-natural lagoons and water parks to tiny house rentals, tree house rentals. And they just got their hands on a giant piece of property on the Wisconsin River, but there's nothing out there. So the first thing that needs to go out there is this big tiny house that's going to act as their command center, really. They're calling it a ranger station. But enough about that. I wanted to ask really quick, before we get started, if you could subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. We upload videos every single week about all sorts of things to do with construction, tiny houses, how-to tips and tricks. So I'd really appreciate your support. Also, if you could like the video, it helps keep our videos popping up so people like yourselves can see them. How do you manage something like this, or manage any kind of project that involves construction? So I wanted to just take you through some simple steps of how that happens. How do we keep things moving forward in a linear fashion without as minimal hiccups as possible? I'll just start from top to bottom, how we build these in the process that we build them. So when it comes to the framing of these houses, we want to make sure that we finalize plans 100%. A lot of times we get into conversations with customers and they say, well, let's just get started and we'll figure that out. And we just say, no, we want to make sure every single detail of that plan is ready to go, so that when it goes to production, it can just keep moving forward. There's no stops, there's no changing things, cutting things out, reframing. So we want to make sure that our framing plans are 100% exactly the way we want them. And that's one of the ways that these houses go together a lot faster. Once the framing is done, we want to get into the mechanicals of the unit. What comes first? Well, the ductwork in a unit like this has to almost come first before everything, because there's such tight space. We want to make sure that there's ample room for the ductwork, and sometimes when we run the plumbing first, we have to move vents and drains because the ductwork doesn't fit. So we want to make sure we get all the ductwork in before we really start going to town on, say, the plumbing. Because this house had a lot of different intricate vents, like you have a vent in every single one of these bathrooms, and there's 4 of those. Then you have 3 vents in this main area. Then you have another vent in the office. And then how do you coordinate the air return so that it all kind of circulates properly? Well, that's way too much stuff for us to manage and remember. So hiring a heating and air company to coordinate that, install all that, and make sure that that's going to be right, and bend all the ductwork and just install, is definitely something that was attractive to us to just sub that part out. Pretty much every single thing other than that, we did in-house. So then after we get the heating and air in, we had to do all the plumbing. And because there's so many bathrooms and people running around all over the place, it was smarter to do the plumbing at night. That's actually something I took on myself and just did the plumbing at night. And I'll show you how we made it pretty simple. So obviously there were no walls up, and I drilled all my holes first, laid out all my pieces. These 2 sinks are back to back, and then all the water lines and everything else, they got ran as well. And then we've got our main water lines that run through the soffit area with our ductwork. It was important for me to do it this way so that the heat that would come off the ductwork in the wintertime would end up warming the pipes so they wouldn't freeze. After we got all the plumbing in, it was time to get the electrical done. And we decided in this house to use this blue electric non-metallic tubing. In the industry, it's also known as Smurf tube. It's like conduit, but it's non-metallic, so it's super flexible. It's easy to cut, and we just run it through the whole house the same way you would do normal steel electrical conduit. The only difference is you also have to include a ground wire with all your pipes. But it allowed us to basically pull the entire project, pull all the wire like a normal house, as opposed to running Romex to everything and then having to run multiple lines to all these different places, because it really is a commercial setting. So you have multiple circuits for computers and all sorts of freezers and stuff in the gift shop area. So the electric was rather intense in this, so it made sense to just run everything in the blue Smurf tubing. When it came to the wallboard and kind of finalizing this project, one of the things that visually has helped us stay on track without having to remember a bunch of things is if a wall is complete in its mechanical sense, or everything that needs to go in that wall is done, then we put our insulation up. So insulation is kind of a sideline project or step throughout the whole project. Instead of, okay, it's time to do insulation now, there's always a roll of insulation sitting by the job, because as soon as we finish something, no matter what your craft is at the company, you'll put the insulation in, so then the next person to walk in visually can see, okay, well, this is all done. So there's no insulation in this part of the ceiling because we still have to run all of these data cable lines for security cameras and internet. So I was coordinating with the customer this morning about all the different locations for security cameras and so forth. So we still have to run all of that today. And then that's it. Once those are run, then we will then insulate the whole ceiling. And then if somebody is looking for something to do and they see all of the insulation in, they can start drywalling, because they know that, oh, if there's insulation in there, then I can start the next task. And that helps cut down communication, makes things a little more universal. In the other bathrooms, I'll take you around to the other side so you can see all these different bathrooms, and I'll show you the wall paneling and board that we're using in there and how that stuff works. So let's go take a look. In the bathrooms, we use this paneling that's very nice. It's called Nudo Poly. It's got a washable surface on it. The nice thing about this is, with 4 bathrooms, once this board goes up, then it's done. So we're able to put all the lights in the ceiling, all the fan grills, everything like that, and just have it all finished. We don't have to wait for paint or anything else. It's got track and trim that just all goes together. Definitely saved us a ton of time in this whole project. After we get all the paneling in, toilets, sinks, drywall the rest of the other side, put all of our flooring in, put the main mezzanine glass front door in, and this thing is on its way to Wisconsin. I really hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's a lot of information, so good thing it's recorded so you can rewind it and watch it again. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I really enjoy doing these videos and explaining all these different things. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to leave me, leave them below. I answer all of them, so feel free, drop those below, and I'll see you next time.